Hey, hello,
Hello.
Hello.
hello, and welcome to the fifth 46 Elks Tech Talk. I welcome my colleagues Carolina and Rupus. Hi.
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 So, how are you? It's Friday, so that question is like
I'm excited
self-explanatory.
for the weekend.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's nice and sunny here. I hopefully also you will get nice and sunny weather for the weekend. I hope so too.
It's
So,
Sweden.
Yeah, it's cold and chilly here, and the snow has started to arrive.
yeah, well,
But then you
you can
could be
always hope.
inside and snuggle and be warm, so it's fine.
Yeah, by the something warm. Yeah. So today we're going to talk, as we always do on these tech talks, about things that are kind of useful for building knowledge and experience regarding IT stuff. So welcome everyone to the fifth tech talk. Today we are going to talk about starting up a live server. So setting up your server, setting up your VPS, as we call it, we're going to explain what that exactly is. So we're going to go about in that direction. So can you like answer Carolina or Rupus or the both of you? Like, what did you ever have any experience setting up a server via any service or at home and if you did, what was your when did you do it and how did you do it and when was the first time you did it? Do you have any like experience that you would like to share? Rupus, do you want to go
I
ahead?
first. My first one was probably a Minecraft server in like 2011
Mm-hmm.
for Minecraft Beta 1.2 something. So that was a physical server, some old computer parts I had at home. And now I have a right to the right of me. I have a server rack an IKEA thing with computers in it. Uh, and then I have some virtual private servers in
Mm-hmm.
different locations for DNS and other services.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Carolina, did you ever set up a server? Do you have any experience with it? What is your
As I am like a front end and designer kind of person, I think that I've actually done it, but I might not be aware of it. So sometimes I've done things that is like, yeah, do this and do this and do this. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, I'm doing it. Now you have
Mm-hmm.
set up a server, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, that's what I did. Had no
Cool.
idea. So I've, I've done it, I think.
Yeah, it's
Does MAMP count?
does what count?
MAMP? To run
Similar to LAMP.
PHP? Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, lamp.
yeah. Does that
Though with
count?
Oh, it's do you mean examp perhaps?
no, there's
Like,
Oh,
one called
I've done
MAMP.
that too. Yeah.
oh, okay,
So
cool. Oh,
MAMP
so
and
you,
XAMPP
yeah.
and yeah, that there's a lot of names and like I'm not sure all the time what I've
Hmm.
done. So I'm like, yeah, perhaps, maybe, I think so.
It's so the reasoning behind today's talk was actually figuring out if we need a server, what is exactly a server, um, mm, what is a VPS, and etc. So I'm going to also share my first kind of experience. My first experience was, um, I think back in 2009 or 8, I had just put up a Debian server, installed it using a DVD on a computer, like an ordinary computer, and had used it to kind of poke around and kind of teach myself some things. Then later on, I kind of did it in some corporative environments, and yeah, based on what the idea was, I had used services, third-party services like DigitalOcean that we're going to use today, and physical machines. So what I'm trying to point out is server. So like the meme is, um, it's not a cloud, it's someone's computer. So the thing is, we are trying to kind of demystify the whole process and say, sure, server is just a computer. It's no different. Somewhat, it is different. Some in some parts, but essentially, it's no different than a PC that you have on your desk. It's quite similar. It has some advancements and has some different components to it that makes it work better, but essentially, that's pretty much it. So I wanted to share this photo that I have of our server here. So that's fun. So do we have that here? Let me just check out. So yeah, so this is our server, which I got the permission to make it public. So it looks very like somewhat unfriendly when you look at it, but actually all it has, it's all of these things up front are ways of you having easier access to the hard drive, to the data storage. So that's the whole point of it. And you will not see it in a typical house computer. But obviously, you don't want to disassemble the whole computer or the server just to get to the data storage or the hard drive. So it's pretty much the same as your ordinary PC or ordinary computer, but with different parts and somewhat different software on it. So yeah, without kind of further ado, I'm going to start off by sharing our screen, my screen regarding DigitalOcean, and let's see what we can do to start it up. So cool. Oh, let me just get to it. So sure.
But could you say that like a server is basically a place for storage
So yeah,
if you
actually,
boil it down?
we should cover that. So actually, public server is a way of you showcasing to the world what is on it. So you can have a website there, you can have data storage on it, file management, some sort of file management system. You can have whatever you want and whatever permits, whatever the environment you're going to install and set up permits it. So we're going to talk about that environment also, and we're going to check out what that exactly means. And actually, we're going to discuss why is it a better idea not to have your own um, server at home, because it could be a troublesome experience for you to have it at home if you want to use it for some stuff. And why is it perhaps a good idea to have it on a service such as DigitalOcean, where it is cheap, it is easy to use, and it's user friendly. So this whole experience kind of helps us out figure out how do you put your own web page out there, and so that anyone from any country in the world can just type in that URL or server and get all of the information that you had put up on the server. So that's the point.
I
So
think
yeah,
the
yeah,
formal definition for a server is a computer that serves other computers. So computers that set up to serve
That makes
resources
sense.
to other computers.
So actually, yeah. So does it? So it has its own 24/7. Has lots of computing power because it has to serve other computers, as Rupus put it. And yeah, so yeah, pretty much. Let's get to it. Let's get on the DigitalOcean. So we had decided to use DigitalOcean because it has a lot of resources online that help you develop your own stuff. So that is kind of the point of it. So you have tutorials, you have forums, you have a friendly community that helps you figure out how to use their services and how to get about in this whole setting up the environment and everything that we are going to explain later on. So, okay, I'm going to go about and click sign up. And when I click sign up, obviously I'm going to get into the my account immediately. You should, if this is your first time, you should type in your name, your email address, whatever, and get going with the whole process. I should warn you that DigitalOcean is asking for payments. So they're asking you to connect your PayPal account, your credit card number, etc., to get going with it. So it's not free. We have some free alternatives that don't exactly offer all the functionalities. So, but we will cover that later on. So let me just sign up.
So DigitalOcean is one way of doing this, and there are a lot of other opportunities, brands. What do you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of things that actually, a lot of services similar to DigitalOcean that do practically the same thing.
Yeah.
Some are fans of DigitalOcean, and I can tell that I am a fan. And because of their way of handling the tutorial world, so they're really trying to give help to everyone that wants to dive deep into the world of servers, but not only servers, but all other services that can be installed on servers. So WordPress, for example, you can find a very detailed tutorial about WordPress on DigitalOcean. So it is something good to know and to get to know. There are a lot of other solutions, but okay, perhaps we will get to them in the future. So yeah, cool. You get to this exact screen when you sign up for the first time. So this is what you get. And you have your project, you have your first project defaultly named, you have a lot of options that can be somewhat intimidating, but let's not get into that. Let us dive into creating our server. So, servers, or virtual private servers, as they're called, they're actually called droplets in the DigitalOcean world. So yeah, they call them droplets. It's a marketing thing. I think they wanted to they wanted to hit a different name for it. I don't know. So it's a marketing thing, but it's called droplets. And you go to create. You click droplets, and we will now, using all of these features, create, or menus, we will create a virtual private server. I just want to, before I go on, I wanted to kind of clear out what is a virtual private server. Rupus, would you like to share, or Kalina, would you like to say a bit about what is exactly a virtual private server? Rupus, would you like perhaps to?
Sure.
Yeah.
So a computer can emulate other computers. That is, have a virtual computer inside your computer. And this is what DigitalOcean and all VPS providers do. They have physical servers, and when you create a virtual private server, they automatically spin up a new virtual server, an emulated or virtualized server, which you get access to.
So it's practically, it can be just one machine with, I don't know, 200 of these virtual private servers.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah, they in practice they are mostly on a single physical machine, but in theory they could move the virtual machine between physical machines, and they do sometimes.
Mm-hmm. So it's a cluster of machines that are everywhere, and they don't even have to be in the same geographic location. Yeah. Okay, so the question that I had when I got started with VPSs was, I had also used GoDaddy, for example, which was famous at the time for their shared hosting. They called it shared hosting. So you can share a server or some like particular resources within the same machine. And I was always like, it was troublesome for me regarding security, and will this just stay within my domain? So this is all being handled by professionals there that are kind of keeping that separate, and very much so. So yeah, cool. We will go about and ignore all of these distributions and everything regarding this, and we will go to the place called Marketplace. So just to keep that as simple as possible, we will cover other stuff later, but just to keep it simple as possible, we'll go to the Marketplace. And on Marketplace, we will see WordPress, for example. Oh, we recognize that. I think that most people that don't have experiences building servers have recognized WordPress, and you can actually install and have WordPress running on this server for you very easily. We won't do that. We will go to LAMP, building a LAMP environment. LAMP is an abbreviation for, or shortened for Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So we mentioned that before. So that's a server environment. So that is something that we use to run web applications. There's LAMP and Apache. So we mentioned there's Apache on it. So that's a web server. And Linux is the operating system that we are using. MySQL or MySQL is the database, and PHP is a programming language. Um, Also, we have um, Apache 2. It's called 2. And we have Engine X, or some people call it Ngix or whatever. So we have that other web server that is also quite popular. But we are going to go with Apache right now. So cool. Okay. We select the image, and I'll go to the details just to go we will go through what exactly is installed here. So we will get, as I mentioned, Apache. We will also get my SQL server, PHP, fail to ban, which I failed to mention, pun intended, and certbot. So we have other stuff here that is also helping us out make our server secure or add some other features. Fail to ban is a service that actually keeps all of the attacks on the server at at some control. So you have some control at who logs into your server and how much can someone try to log into your server before their IP, the address that they're coming from and trying to log into the server is being banned, or some other stuff that you want to do with it. So it gives you some sort of security when it comes to that. Postfix is a service used for sending emails and etc. Certbot is a service being used to have HTTPS, so SSL certificates on it, which is basically a requirement in this day and age. So it kind of helps you wrap up the whole thing without you being very much involved in knowing the specifics. So we can choose a plan. Let's go with the plan that's the most cheapest. So we have the Intel with SSD here, which SSD is a solid state drive. It's a sort of a data storage. We have the NVM here. So it's sort of a data storage that's a bit faster than SSD, regular SSD. So we will go with regular Intel, $5 per month. So the cheapest option there is. You select a data center region, so you don't have to get too involved with this, but you will select it based on where you are or where your clients are. So you don't want to select Toronto if your clients are in Europe. You could, but you will get, obviously, because of the physical distance, you will get some issues regarding connectivity and perhaps loading time, etc. So if your client and you are in Europe region, you can select Amsterdam, London, Frankfurt. I'll select Frankfurt. We have a bunch of other stuff here. We can select IP6. You can select a lot of things here. We are going to dismiss all of that. We're not going to select it. And we are going to go on the authentication. So we have an explanation here that droplets use SSH keys and have password authentication disabled by default. This makes them secure against brute force attacks. So what that means, it means we cover that in fail to ban. So fail to ban actually disables or helps mitigate brute force attacks. Brute force attacks are attacks that involve a certain person trying to get into your server by just repeating some typical passwords. So that person figures out that you are using a very default username, and they are trying to type in passwords that are a big no-no, like 1234 or 111, or other they use other dictionaries to like put it all in and try to get into the system. The thing is, when you have failed to ban, it detects that someone is trying to log in, and it says, oh, this cannot be done by a human. Someone has tried to log in 40 times in the last 10 seconds. That's unlikely that a human has done that, right? So it kind of bans and throttles the login process. And if it sees that it's being repeated by the same IP, then it blocks it for a specific time. So, but for the purposes of this example, I'm going to do exactly what you shouldn't do is and go about and I will create a password, a root password, and actually create a live server using a password here because it will be somewhat more convenient for me. And it will be more easier for you to get and understand because creating an SSH key is actually a thing that you need to do on your SSH client, which we mentioned before. We can go about and just click here so you can get the picture. So you basically you add a public SSH client key here, which you generate on your computer, and you paste it here. It's public; anyone can see it, but that is the way that server knows that you are here. So yeah, let's get to it. So I will use a password. Just a sec. Cool.
Would you recommend using an SSH key before a password?
Yes. So SSH key is definitely the way to use servers and virtual private servers. So you shouldn't use a password. The thing is, passwords are a liability, and they are just a string that is waiting to be guessed. And for these intended purposes, I'm going to use a password because the whole thing about creating an SSH key and kind of doing
Yeah,
the whole
it's like a
process.
different process.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Yeah.
not do it. I thought about perhaps I should do it, but yeah, I don't know. It's going. We are here for over 20 minutes now, and I think it will be for 45
Perhaps
minutes.
we can cover SSH keys in like a GitHub discussion.
We should
Yeah.
definitely, because so this is not the impression that I want you to have. It's not good to have just a password created for your server. You should have an SSH key, but if that is keeping you from building your server, then please use a password then, at least to have a server. Then you can look for tutorials and things that will help you create an SSH key and kind of cancel the way dismiss or cancel the way you can log in through a password. So there are some things that you can do in the configuration later on. So cool. So we had typed in the password. I'm going to give this server a name. I'm going to call it, I don't know, 46 Elks test, like this. And so I'm being asked how many droplets. I only need one droplet. I don't want to create a couple of droplets. I understand that some would perhaps want to create with the same configuration other more droplets, but that is not the case here. We can use tags. For example, if this is going to be some sort of a file storage, I can say file storage. I enter and I have tags, so I can have a very clear difference of what's going on and what servers are for different purposes. I can assign a droplet server to a project. You don't have to do that. And I can enable backups. Backups is actually a snapshot, a clone of the whole server being done once a week. And as it says, it's being retained for 4 weeks. So I think it's being done on every Wednesday to Thursday. but I'm not quite sure. You pay $1 per month, and you're safe. You have some sort of a protection when you mess up your server that you can go back to a week before. It's nice to have. You shouldn't perhaps select it if you're doing this for the first time, because you will just experiment and try it out. Okay, let's click create Droplet. Is everyone ready?
Exciting.
Go for it.
Okay. Blue screen of death. Blue screen. Oh no. Okay. Oh, that doesn't happen on these machines. Oops.
It actually loads as well.
So it's creating the Droplet right now. So probably I can even get. Oh, okay. I have some I think that I already have an IP here. So let's be like vigilant, and I'm going to try to get to it. Oh, it's still loading. It's not there. So it's in the process of creating that server. So it's in the process of building it right now. So when I go about and when I try to ping this IP address, let me go about and try to ping it. So so it's already done. Before I try to ping it, it's going to be already here.
It's fast.
Yeah, it's quite fast. Okay, it's here.
Yeah.
So I called it 46 Elks test. It's file storage tagged, whatever. And it has this link, get started. But before we click that link, let's copy this IP and see what we get when we paste this IP into the browser, into the place where you can type in the URL in the browser. Let's get to that. Okay, let me just share that. Okay. Can you see it?
No, we see
No.
ourselves.
Okay. Oh,
It's
my bad.
always a bit tricky with screen sharing. You're like, what
Yeah.
am I going to share this time?
Yeah. It's always one step close to revealing some personal information when you go screen sharing. So yeah, we can see, please log into your Droplet with SSH to configure the LAMP installation. So it will not start its typical duties and work until I go about and log in using SSH client and start it up. So let us do that. I'll just copy this IP address. Let me just copy something else beforehand. That something else is the password that
It
I'm
feels
trying
like
to
a
hide.
TV chef. Like I have just prepared this, so I can just.
I've just prepared this.
Yeah.
Okay, just a sec. So Putty is here. I like the word like. And okay. So yeah, so we have the IP address here. And I'm going to start. So the port is 22. It is the typical port that we also do not remember. We do not recommend you using. You should also, and you could also change that port. But there are other things that also can be changed security-wise. Let's not get into that. Let's click open. Okay. So it has disappeared. Just a sec. I'm going back. It's tricky. Okay.
It is tricky when you shared one program and it's done, and it's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I have here the. Okay, we can see it. So it's asking me log in as. So it had asked me before. It has instructed me that it's going to be root. So when I type in root, ROOT, press enter, I get asked for the password. Then I'm going to use that password that I used before.
Yeah, that you set when you set up the server.
Yes. And again, I've been okay. Oh, so I've been logged out. So let's see if it now works. Let's see if it works. Just a second before I go about. And why didn't this work? Oh dear. It's supposed to work the first time, like every time.
It's tricky
The demo last time
debugging,
worked
right?
well.
Yeah,
The demo,
yeah,
we got
that's
lucky
probably.
last time. It
But
was.
I'm guessing all the things that you mentioned now, when you go into the IP and you use the port 22 and the root as like the username, all of that you can find on DigitalOcean when you set up your live server. So you don't have to have it in your head.
So yeah, you don't have to have it in your head. It's about so if you go to that IP address, when you click on the introduction there. So let me just share it. Oh, just a sec. Okay. So you can see that you have a quick start guide, but we can click that. Getting started after deploying LAMP. So yeah, we should go through that. So I'm doing the typical thing that every IT person does, is not look at the documentation. Like, why look at the documentation when you can struggle for 15 hours and
It's
then
the
look at
same
it?
with the IKEA furniture.
Yeah.
Every time.
So, so this is what this little screw does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so getting started after deploying LAMP. So, okay. I'm getting some information here about what I should do after and what it has been done after it's been set up. But I'm trying to get into the server. I'm just trying to wonder what's. Oh, I got in. Okay, let me just switch back to Putty. Okay. I have to figure out how to make this process faster of sharing stuff. So yeah, when you firstly log into it, you see this message. So it says you are in this droplet right now. To keep this droplet secure, use the UFW firewall is enabled. All ports are blocked except 22, which we mentioned, which we used SSH 22 port 22. HTTP, the port that is used for accessing via web, etc. So on the server, the default web root is located at vars/www/html, and yeah, so the default MSQL password is here. So the database has been set, and etc. So just to get things about and running, I think that when we type in that IP, it should have a different message now. Let me just get about on doing that. Okay. So we should put, so if we go to, let's go to that, oh, sorry, I kind of canceled myself out. If we go to that web root, let me just, oh, I need to get it out of the, so this CD, and let's see what is in this. So we have the index.html, which is actually what we saw before. So this is pretty much it. We will see, so we will see it here. Everything that we saw on the quick, so the help message that we got. So it's pretty much here. So if we would to delete this, then I presume that we will get the message from Apache, right? Or some sort of an error message, right?
Yeah, it would say 404 not found or something.
Let's try it out. So we
So
can
the same information we saw on the browser that we looked at, and the helpful instructions, you just deleted those, and now we should see a 404 something page.
Or some sort of a like, here you go, I'm going to dump what I have here and take a look at what's going on. Perhaps we should see that. Just a sec. Okay. Okay, yeah, it's exactly that. So it's just, let me just share it. It is, I found this in the web root. I don't know. So can you make something out of this? If we would go about and go and have copy paste our example from the previous tech talk that we had, and just copy paste the code into, so if we would create another index.html and put the code that we used last time on the tech talk, if we would put it in index.html here, then it would show here. So we can try it out just to kind of prove a point. I'm going to create. I used nano index.html, and you can use to access the server. We will cover this in another topic. You can use FileZilla. You can use any other FTP client that you have. FTP is File Transfer Protocol, and it's you can find it on Google. FileZilla is one of the popular ones, at least for Windows, but you have a bunch of them, and you can actually access the server in a similar way that we used to access it using Putty. But okay, I'm just going to write something like test without any tags at all. I just created the index.html and wrote test in it, and I'm going to save that file, probably. Okay, I'm not sure if I have to restart the Apache service. Perhaps that should be done, but but it's not necessary.
It
So
works.
it works. Yeah, it's small, but because I didn't use any formatting at all, I didn't use HTML. I just wrote test. So it's actually, it is in index.html. It's the word test, but that's pretty much it. If we would to copy paste our code here, it would start running on PHP. So if we have PHP code somewhere, and if we would copy paste it, should I do it? Perhaps is it? Or what are your thoughts? Did we go
I
back
think
too long?
try it.
Let's do it. Okay.
It always gives like an aha moment when you actually see something being done.
Okay. Let me just then share screen and go to, where is it? Okay, go to 46 Elks. And we have the sending SMS example here, and a lot of different stuff. But let's go to a tutorial. We can even go to the one that we used before to make a phone call. But let's get to that technical tutorial. And let's say send SMS with PHP. And we have a bunch of instructions here, but let's go here and just copy paste this code. Right, and let's just paste it there and see what happens. So I'm going to go about and go on Putty.
And just switch the API credentials. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to give it a go. Just let me switch from this to this. Just a sec. Okay, we'll go to Putty and share it. All right, this is the index HTML that I had created. So let me just take a look at it. So this is test in it. So I have that previous text, copied that code. Let me just paste it here. So we already have some things being done here, but I think that we need to add the tag, the PHP tag also. So I think that this is pretty much it, or PHP. And here, this, and I'm going to save it. And something really wrong. What did I do? Oh, okay, I clicked some random creation letter. Okay, let me just get...
Adding the PHP tags, that is often something that I seem to forget. So I'm always like, when I do something with PHP, I'm like, why doesn't it work? Come on, think. Perhaps.
It is something that kind of. Okay, so we are going to get definitely an error message. Why? Because I didn't type in the credentials. So I don't know. I'm not sure if it will be visible. I'm going to try to do this, but we got all the code here. So let me just see what's going on.
You might have to rename the file to index.php.
Probably.
That as well.
Probably. Thank you. And
it's really helpful being more people when looking at something.
Yeah. So I did. So let me just get back to this. And I'm going to get back to that. Just a sec. Okay. So I'm just going to create an index.php. So, is it not working? Oh, I'm trying to click the screen that I'm sharing all the time on this. Okay, so when we see now we have index.html and index.php. Perhaps we could have an issue with because we need to change a priority and we need to change it on the Apache. We need to push the index.php at the front in some configuration. Perhaps this could be an issue. I'm not sure, but let's give it a go. I'm going to remove HTML index and have index.php only. I'm not going to restart anything. So, okay, cool. So this is the message that we want to get. Let me just switch back. Stop screen sharing, get screen. Cool. And we have the 401 authorization required. Why? Because we didn't type in anything.
That means that it works as it should.
Works. Yeah.
That's a message from the 46 Elks API, probably.
Yes. So let me just type in my credentials quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And let's give it a go. Okay, where is it? Okay, log in, and I'm going to describe what I'm doing. I'm going to I logged into the 46 Elks account, went to the dashboard.
And you just copy paste your API credentials?
Yes, I'm going to the account, and I'm going to copy the username that I have. I'm going to place it here in the index.php under username. So let me just get to it. And I'm going to place the password from the dashboard also. Okay. Multitasking at my best. Best to do it right. Cool. So I had typed in username and passwords, and I'm saving the file. And okay, let's just now, I have saved the file, and we are going to go back to the URL, to the tab, and see what's going on after we refresh it. So you need, after a reaction, you should refresh it. So I get forbidden now. What did I do?
Do you have money on your account?
Let me see.
It's
actually a really good question.
Yes, I
forbidden is when the API thinks you've done something wrong. Like
perhaps
you're not having.
Okay, so no, we got the. I've done something wrong because I didn't define from or to or anything. Very, very, very good. So let me just do that. Okay. Okay. No. And
this is setting high pressure on you, Rene, coding unprepared live. But I think it's really interesting, and it's good to see as well, like what happens when we do this on a live server. What is it that it actually does?
Yeah, so I'm going to type in let me just share it because it's not that big of a secret. I'm going to go about and share the part that I'm doing right now, so not to keep you guessing. Oh, okay. Okay, so I had written the password and username in the file, and I'm going to write my number.
PHP would work. You could send from a text sender.
Yeah, that's
Really?
true. Between 3 and 11 characters, you can send from a text sender.
I was trying to remember my phone number, so that was like, Oh, PHP would work. Yeah, let's
Yep.
leave it at PHP. Let's do
Yep.
it.
So you
Okay,
can
I'm
just
going to.
send it to your number instead.
Yeah. Okay.
So the 2 number is probably the problem because the API will recognize that that's not a valid number.
Okay,
But
let's
that would
write
be
it.
so.
Let's say 46 Elks.
Actually, that won't work either because you can't have numbers in the beginning of a text sender.
Oh yes, sender ID. yes. So let's just go with test.
We're all learning today.
Yes. Okay. Right. And I have written, and let's get to the tab. Okay. Actually, if I would run it like from the terminal, then it would actually run. So I can initiate the script from the tab or from the terminal, but like let's go about and go from the tab just for visualization. Okay, if you agree.
Totally.
Cool. Okay, so we have this forbidden because I forgot to type in from and to. And as Rupus said, our API or our service noticed that something is wrong, and we got this message. So let's just refresh. I'll see if I'll get. Is my phone even here? It's not here. I should get it somewhere. Let me just check. Okay, but we have this. Status. Rupus, would you care explaining what's going on while I get my phone number? While I get my mobile phone.
Sure. So this is a response from our API when you've created an SMS message. It's in the JSON data format, which is pretty much you have a key and a value, like a dictionary of stuff. So you have the status is created and then a comma, and the direction is outgoing. And it also repeats some things that you already know, like it's from test. It's when it was created in UTC time zone. How many parts the message is? If it's more than 160 characters, it will be split up into multiple SMS that will be put together in the mobile phone afterwards. The number that it goes to, the cost of the message in 10,000s of the currency of your account. So this would probably be, your account seems to be euro because it's 450, which is 0.045 euros.
Okay.
The message and an ID for the message, so you can get the same information from the API later to see if it's sent or if it has been delivered or if it failed.
So every message has a unique ID.
Yes.
Cool. I got the message, by the way. Let me just share it if it is at all visible.
Nice.
And I think it says PHP or test. What did I write?
Test. Yeah.
Test here. So yeah, I got it. Man, this is a demonstration.
But I think that it really like helps understand that we set up a live server and then we can actually run our code on that, and that talks to the API then. So it's really helpful to understand.
Yeah, it's somewhat mind-boggling to realize that you need, like, we spent 50 minutes here. Obviously, I have some experience with it, but it should not take more than 2 hours if you have little experience or none to do this. So you can start sending SMSs or having phone calls within 2 hours from zero to like sending messages all over the world. So that's kind of
Yeah, or just
wow.
hosting your own WordPress web page.
Or that, yes, or anything like that. We can also go a little bit deeper into all of this and perhaps talk about the specifics that I kind of failed to mention here and all the other stuff that you can do, or not just use PHP. And could this server be over the SSH keys, right, or something like that? We can go about doing that also. So I think that would be kind of a cool thing to do. If anyone watching this agrees and wants to kind of get into the process of it all and wants us to go in some sort of a direction, like let us know. We will try to figure it out and help you. So that's why we are here. We're trying to figure out what is the best way of all of you figuring out how to use our service and in general how to use IT infrastructure. So that isn't quite connected to us, but can be useful also to you too for our services. So yeah,
But
cool.
just seeing you setting up a live server makes me like, I used to use VP Engine a lot before, and this was like the same process. And I use MAMP. It's kind of the same process. So
Yeah,
it's helpful seeing one way of doing it, and it makes you like, okay, yeah, right. It was a server.
it's cool. So it is about $5 per month, and so you can experiment. You can. I would like to also emphasize this. You can turn off the server. So the server and the service is only being built paid for when you actually use it. So 46 DigitalOcean will warn you when you are using the service and being billed for it. So if you, as they call it, destroy the droplet and delete it, then you will not be charged for it. So you can go about experiment for 10 days or 15 days, pay $2.50, and yeah, you can learn a lot during those 15 days. And then you find a client that is willing to pay for those costs, and voila, you have like you have your expenses covered for, and possibly a person that will pay for all of these services. It would be cool to like cover all the specifics here. We will talk and discuss what the next topic could be. I'm so very glad to be able to do this, and everything has worked, and in the end, so that's pretty cool. I'm going to try to yeah, okay, I have changed it. So yeah, uh,
Well done,
that's
Rene.
oh yeah,
Very
thank
well
you
done.
for the cheering and the support. We will I will work hard to place you in my shoes for the next time. Or no, next time we're going to have another colleague join us.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, so Carolina, will you say a bit more about the colleague and who is going to jump in next time?
So next time, me and Rupus will be talking somewhere else. So our
Okay.
colleague Jasper really wanted to do a tech talk with Rene, and Jasper works in our support team and in our community team. So he's a really social guy, and he loves tech and IT. And I'm not sure what you guys are going to be talking about.
We're not sure. I'm not sure also. I don't know what
We'll
we're
see
going to
what
talk
you will
about.
be talking about.
There's no structure here and organization.
I think you will have a good talk, no matter what you guys talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to share before we go, we have this picture of our elks working hard. It's actually, so let me just share it. So
Oh
our
yeah.
elks, this a while ago, so Ben and Johannes, they are working hard in a data center. So data centers look very romantic and they are very convenient to be in, as you can see. It's a bunch of, as Rupus mentioned at the beginning, like racks. Like so, this is a typical like network rack, right, Rupus?
Yes.
Like, yes, and so between and you go about and you take your server, as Ben holds the server. So, and that is the size of it, so you can get kind of the idea. So it's similar size of a somewhat older computer. So older computers were like chunky and big. And yeah, that's about it. When we care about our data, we care about our infrastructure. So we are very careful on how we approach the whole thing, and we are extra careful about managing our own equipment and being safe with it. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't use DigitalOcean for doing things that are somewhat private, but when it gets kind of serious, you get to other things and you start using other, let's say, equipment and devices and way of dealing with things. But we have experts that do that, and obviously, you don't have to be that big of an expert to run a web server, as we have kind of witnessed today. So yeah, cool. Thank you all for joining. Please, everyone, comment, ask questions, ask for help. We will help you. We like doing this stuff. It's kind of we are very glad to do it, and it's quite helpful to know what is going on and to be able to figure out some sort of a solution. So please comment, ask questions. We will help out. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a great weekend, everyone. Have a great weekend, my colleagues.
You
And
too.
You too.
yeah, stay safe, and that's it. Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.